Okay, we are now back in open session, and I declare we only discussed the items that were on the closed meeting agenda. So we will continue with our agenda of our regular meeting. Item 10 is the council minutes, and these are minutes from August the 11th. I need a mover and seconder before I give a couple of highlights. Deputy Mayor Dickert and Councillor Hudson. Just a couple, two or three. You'll remember we approved the municipal technical rescue agreement between the town of Hanover and the municipality of Grey Highlands. And the medical clinic mechanical rooftop unit replacement was awarded to Montgomery Industrial Service Limited. And we also approved the agreement with the Hanover Barons Junior C Hockey Club for the purposes of installing video streaming cameras to record Junior C games and practices at the P&H Center for a 4-year term. And that's all I have for highlights. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Item 10.2 is the audit committee minutes. I need a mover and seconder for those. Councillor Cable and Councillor Sacco. And evening we had Kevin Tremble from NNP. He reviewed the 2024 draft financial statements with us. Any comments, questions? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 11, we do not have any business arising from the minutes. Item 12 is our consent agenda, and I'm going to ask if there are any items in the consent agenda that anyone wishes to be discussed separately. Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm hoping that we can discuss item 12.2, 2026 preliminary budget information.
Thank you. All right, so I need a mover and seconder for the remaining items in the consent agenda, and this is the recommended motion that the items listed on the consent agenda be received for information and that any recommendations contained therein be hereby approved. Moved by Deputy Mayor Dickert and Councillor Fleet. All in favor? That is carried. So then we have item 12.2, which is report DCS 1025. The report is the 2026 preliminary budget information. It's from Chris Walker, our Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer, and I need a mover and seconder, Councillor Cable and Councillor Hawking. Chris, please.
Thank you, Worship. This is an information being brought forward. Being at the earlier this year, the mayor's direction was for the treasurer and CAO to prepare a 2026 budget report. So we wanted to provide a preliminary overview of the 2026 operations budget assumptions to date, as well as the 2026 capital and 5-year capital currently in the system. As we know, as part of the Strong Mayors Bill 3, any amendments, the mayor can propose the municipal budget and direct the staff, as she did on July 14th. For the upcoming budget. This is a change from our previous budget years wherein council approved a budget plan and processes. So we attached the proposed 2026 capital items as well as the 5-year capital forecast that is currently in the system. And this was as of August 19th. Keep in mind, it's important to note that the respective department staff are currently in the process of reviewing all this. This is just what we have to date in our system. And there will likely be changes to the proposed list of capital projects for 2026. Our staff deadline for the capital projects is September 15th from departments to present it to myself and the CAO so we can put it together as well and then provide it to the mayor for her budget. Council is being provided this information for their preliminary input with respect to any particular projects that they feel needs to be addressed sooner or later, and any projects that may be missing and need to be added. Council is to share their input to Mayor Patterson by email by September 15th. The current 2026 operations assumptions to date without any confirmed departmental financial projections or anything. This is just taking 2025 budget and knowing that we have assumptions based on all the preliminary information that council has provided to us through the years. So there was a chart provided or a little table after, so we know for sure the police costs, they are anticipating another additional officer and obviously their wages, benefits as per their contract. So that's a $228,000 increase without anything that the town is going to do about it. The asset management plan, you may remember you approved at the June 16th council meeting that amount required each year for the next 10 years was $408,700 plus yearly inflation. So you need 408.7 in 2026, 408.7 plus inflation in 2027, et cetera, et cetera. It's always 408.7 plus the inflation plus another inflation the next year for the next 10 years. So you're looking at over $408,000 that has to be done each year for the next 10 years. So over $4 million is being added in 10 years to that for asset management plan. Then we provided you an assumption of 1.8% because that was what it was as of June over year. The wage increases are 1.8% assumption. And we just put in a percentage because there is wages and benefits for the union that have to be negotiated. We don't know what those are going to be. So we did an assumption on there. Plus we added 2% on utilities and the insurance will be just under 6 or 8%. I think it's going to be under 10%. They've been telling me at one single digit this year that we're going to see. It'd be nice to see that. And then capital, we didn't assume that you would have any additional amounts over the 1.2 million that we normally put aside for that. Most of the capital is covered through reserves, reserve funds, grants, donations, other areas as well. So we're looking at just under $800,000 over the 2025 levy. So an 8.16% increase. And we haven't even looked at the budget. Like, these are the assumptions that we are made aware of based on the past years that the council has approved through the system. So that's what this information was being provided to you. And the forecast, again, these are just the numbers and the information that is in the system right now that was provided there. So Ron provided a lot of his stuff for Public Works for the past 5 years. We look at our asset management plan. They know what they're supposed to do over the next 5 to 10 years. They're given that every year. The 10-year forecasts are provided. But right now in our system, there's only 5 years. So I think that's it, unless you have any other questions.
Thank you. Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not sure if we're having a finance committee meeting in the near future, so hopefully this is a good time to ask a number of questions related to budget. The first one, so in police costs, it says $228,000. Do we know if Hanover Police Service was able to hire the additional officer that was included in the 2025 budget?
So Councillor Cable, I do want to say on November 24th and 25th, which should be in your calendar, that's when the departments will be presenting. So all of those fine details will be shared then. So to put Chris on the spot to say she knows what's going on, like this is just to share at this time what they're aware of, what staff is aware of, what's coming for this budget.
So did you more so want to focus on the capital list that was provided?
Yes. However, any of that input, as it notes in the report, should go to Sue or Mayor Sue, I should say, by September 15th. Again, we are working within the mayor's direction that was provided at the July meeting, that staff were directed from the mayor to prepare and start to work on the 2026 budget. Within strong mayor powers, that's where you're going to notice some revisions to how the budget is discussed and input is provided. So again, if you have capital budget suggestions, they should go to Mayor Sue by September 15th, at which point she will communicate with us that this is some suggestions that have come forward. We either need to look into new projects or move projects or those types of things.
Thank you for the clarity. I think that perhaps this model does look different than when we started a finance committee, right? And last year we had multiple meetings regarding the budget and we're able to discuss items related to operations and capital throughout the year. And so I felt like when we got to actual budget discussions, we were well apprised of things that were going on. So I don't necessarily feel the same way this year. I do have questions specifically about the capital list, and I'm hoping that we can discuss.
Well, just to add, I appreciate what you're saying and I understand that. And I would agree with you that the finance committee was that opportunity to provide some further details around budget. If you recall, and it wasn't during an open discussion, but we chatted at, I believe it was July meeting, that we were starting to see that the finance committee and the parameters in terms of reference of the finance committee with the budget and the strong mayor powers realities that we are faced with don't really align. And therefore, we said we're going to have to monitor around finance committee and what information would come forward. And what we had said in July was, well, if there's really only one item to discuss as part of finance committee, it would make more sense that we would just have it on a typical council agenda rather than a separate finance committee, which we did. I believe the financials were they on the August, thank you, the August agenda. So I hear and understand what you're saying. And yes, it is going to look a little bit different from an input perspective, but we're living within the parameters that we have with the strong mayor powers budget and the legislation accordingly. I think that's the key part. This is legislated information that we are working within.
And I also understand that, and I want council's input. Like, we are a council, right? So we are going to have the department heads share, just similar to the past. They will share what their budget, what they would like to see in their budget. I'm not going to say what they want their budget to be, but what they want to see in their budget. And we will have that opportunity to ask why and justify with questions why they want certain items, and can we defer it or is it immediate? So I'm surmising that you are saying you want to ask some questions about the summary before you can make a decision about what you want to see or what you want to email to me. And I'm saying email because I want a record of it. Because if people just say, oh, I think this should be in the budget and this should be out, I need a record of it so I can go through it. So are you saying you need to ask some of these questions about this summary before you email on September 14th? Was it 15th? Close.
So I guess my question would be that the total under transfer from revenue fund taxes, which is typically OLG funds, the total is 5.3 million. I guess what I'm wondering is, are we looking to cut $4 million of projects out of that column in order to get back to the $1.2 million? So essentially, I would have to provide a list of here's where I think the 1.2, or here's the list of the $4 million that I don't think are priorities. I guess that's what I'm wondering, because the list is quite significant right now, and if I'm reading it correctly, we're about 4 million over in capital.
Through you, your worship, you are correct. Or again, this was just putting in, a lot of these were deferred from 2024 and 2025, so they just get pushed to 2026. They're all brought forward. Again, the department heads have not looked at these, so you can bet when it comes back to council, when you're going to look at it, it will be closer to the 1.2, or maybe we'll say we need 1.4 or X number of dollars of that. Keep in mind that 387,000 of that for the new police services building. Part of that was new money that council agreed to add for that year in capital. So there will be at least 200 and some thousand dollars of that money brought there as well. So we're going to go through all the projects. I mean, there's no way that you're going to do 4 or 5 different roads. You basically do a road and paving. So one of those roads will get pushed to another year, but I'm just showing you what's in the system there right now. So the department's going to say this one is more priority than this one based on our asset management plan and where it ranks in the risks and the conditions as well. But again, Ron has had these in the past where he pushed things to another year, but you have to get them into the system. So yeah, it's not going to be the 5.3, but this is what we currently show. You'll notice that if you do the 5 years, there's only, what is there in the page 23 of your area? the summary is 10.8 million, of which 5 million was there, but in 2027, there's only 15.9. And then you get 2028 and 2029, your big ones of 35. We know that's all the wastewater treatment plant, right? Then you're looking at 2030 is only 3 million. So obviously some of that's going to get pushed and keep getting pushed, and it's going to be based on the asset management plan and what is a priority based on that, not on what council feels is the best thing all the time. Because we as staff have to go by the policies that we have in place and what the assets are dictating to us at this time.
Just if I can add to, again, this is, I think this is preliminary budget information. And as Chris said, and as the report detailed, the capital budget, staff are working on it now, and this is what's currently in the system. So it's going to change and be revised a fair bit before it comes to council before November. So if I can say it this way, we're really, like right now, the intent of this is to provide you with the list as it's currently in the system. And at a high level, we want you to provide that input to Mayor Sue with respect to those projects maybe that you do see, well, I don't think that is a priority, or I do think this is a priority, or I don't see this project on the list and thought I might, that type of thing. So again, I think you need to look at it a bit higher level right now versus getting into the fine tune of the dollars and cents, because yes, we know $5 million is not going to be realistic for capital, and that will have to look a little bit different.
Go ahead, Councillor Cable.
Thank you. This is my last question. When the asset management plan was originally presented, one of their options was to look at the backlog of assets that are currently outdated or that need to be replaced, and to take out a loan in order to purchase those all in 2026. And I'm wondering if staff have thought about presenting a proposal for even a portion of that list and what the borrowing cost would be so that we could tackle a significant number of backlogged items in 2026.
Through your worship, all the department heads were provided their information for the backlog and everything for the next 10 years. Keep in mind, a lot of the stuff that's backlogged, the conditions are still okay on some of them. So to us, they're not backlogged. The asset management plan says they're backlogged because they've reached their useful life according to the asset management plan. But again, they get the information, they look at it, the risks tell you that it's more important to get something that needs to be done 2 years from now than something that was backlogged. It's more priority. So they're looking at all that, and they get to see everything all in one picture of the 10 years worth all at once with the backlog there. So I don't see us taking a loan to take off, to get all that backlog, because if they needed something important, it will come forward into the capital plan ahead of something else.
You're okay? All right. Any other questions? Okay. And as I said, we're all going through this. This is all new, but we're going to try. I want to try that it's as easy for all of us, and we have input. Like, we need to sit and talk as a council what we feel the priorities are in town and what's most important for our residents. So we will have the department heads present, and we can ask our questions and go through it. So we will have the opportunity then, and if we need to have more questions, that's fine. But we will try and set up a schedule so that, well, we won't try, we have to, because we're legislated to have the budget done by, what is it, February 1st. So, okay. All right, so it's been moved by Councillor Cable, seconded by Councillor Hawking. We are going to receive report DCS 1025 for information. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. All right, item 13 is staff reports requiring action. And we have 13.1, which is report ED 0925. It's from April Marshall, our Economic Development Manager, and the subject is 579 9th Avenue, the Community Improvement Program Tax Increment Equivalent Grant Application. I could have said just the CIP program, but no, I'm going to say it all. So mover and seconder, please, to before April starts. Councillor Sackle and Deputy Mayor Dickert. April, take it away.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I would like to use acronyms if possible, CIP and TEAG. So a bit of background. So this 579 9th Avenue Limited is the applicant, and they have acquired the property at 579 9th Avenue in the town of Hanover. For the purpose of renovating and converting the current duplex into a triplex featuring 3 2-bedroom units and an addition of 6 2-bedroom units constructed on the property. We have worked closely with this applicant on another development in town, and as has Grey County. So the discussion for this report this evening is the applicant's application to the CIP's tax increment equivalent grant. So this is for a portion of the municipal property taxes attributed to the increase of the property assessment. So essentially, we're looking at phasing in the tax increases relating to the reassessment resulting from the property improvements over a 5-year period. Just as a friendly reminder, so through the CIP, we have our other program streams that we have a strict budget on, and we have an internal review panel that goes through those applications and ensures they meet our criteria. However, it is structured that the tax increment equivalent grant does come to council for council's approval. So that is what brings us forward this evening. So again, just to review the project summary, again, we have that existing duplex on the subject property. So it's a full renovation. And with the addition of the constructed behind the building of the existing feature and the additions, that's a 239% increase to that dwelling. The development will feature 9 paved asphalt parking spaces and side driveway access. It's going to be a $2.8 million renovation cost when completed, construction cost when completed. So the improvements in the community impact, one is increasing our housing supply. This project will introduce 7 new purpose-built rental units, enhancing the availability of attainable housing and helping stabilize rental rates in the town. Site optimization, redevelopment transforms this underutilized property into a vibrant and efficient residential site through structural renovation and new construction. The streetscape revitalization, because with those exterior upgrades, it will improve the visual appeal of the area and support broader revitalization throughout the town. And they are noting some environmental sustainability attributes to this project. So they're going to be using energy efficient materials, high performance insulation, modern HVAC systems, etc. So as far as the financial implications go, these are all projections. So what we do is Chris and I work together to take a look at the current assessment. She calculates a projected post assessment with the improvements that they're going to make, and then we figure out the difference of the increase. So as it stands, the estimated post-project annual property taxes will look to increase to about $6,764.70. So if we do this over a 5-year phase-in, with year 1 being 100% grant, so that would show that their year 1 grant would be $4,930.93. And then we assume a 2% increase, and then we decrease the percentage amount accordingly. So overall, we're estimating that it would be a total of grant of $23,043.87 over the 5-year period. And just to reiterate as well, this does not come into effect until after the property has been reassessed and the property owner has paid their taxes in full, and then we reimburse them that grant amount. So the links to the strategic plan is a healthy and welcoming community and strong and vibrant economy. And the recommendation is that report ED 0925 579 9th Avenue Community Improvement Plan tax increment equivalent grant application be received, and the mayor and the clerk be directed to complete a Town of Hanover Community Improvement Program tax increment equivalent grant agreement with 579 9th Avenue Limited as proposed, and that bylaw 3343-25 be approved for the cancellation, reduction, or refund of taxes levied for local municipal purposes. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, April. Comments, questions? Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, April. Just a comment, really. I think it's a great tool in the CIP, the tax increment equivalent grant. You know, it creates employment, it creates additional housing in our community. Doesn't really cost us anything. I know it defers our revenues on the assessment base, but I do think it is a great tool, and I support these applications when they've been well vetted and we know that they're a legitimate project. So I support it. Thank you.
Other comment, Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, April, for your report. I too am pleased to see that we're just finding some more places for people to live, so that's wonderful. Can you give us any idea of timeline when the build would happen, when it would be finished, anything like that?
Through your worship, it is my understanding that they're getting set to start construction immediately. So I think we would be anticipating hopefully completion by next year. So, yeah.
Did you say completion by next year?
Apologies.
Sorry,
Well, that is the first, yeah, we have.
that's
that
very
further
good.
news. Yes.
Right. Councillor Hawking.
This may seem like a silly question, April, and thanks for your report. And this is a great thing. Because there's an existing property, how come this didn't go through the Planning Advisory Committee for their approval? Or
I'm pretty sure it did because I think they needed there was a planning application related to it, or I believe it did.
It
It would have
was-
been last year though.
oh, it was last year?
Yeah, I
Oh.
would say it was in 2024. I don't think it was in 2025 that we've seen this, but they definitely came here
Okay,
or came to planning.
so it has, okay.
Yeah.
I told you it was a silly question.
Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship. I believe April in the bylaw, it talks about the project having to start within 6 months. What happens for projects that don't start within 6 months and it's delayed? Do they have to then reapply for the tax incremental grant?
Through your worship, we are as this meets many objectives of the CIP, we are looking to support the application through the process and understanding that delays can happen. So we would like to use that 6 months as an incentive and benchmark. But we do have a bit of flexibility there with good reason. So we don't ask them to reapply, but should there be any red flags or anything, that's also a clause for us to be able then to cancel that agreement and have them reapply accordingly. But should everything be moving and they are experiencing delays just that aren't beyond their control, I guess I would say, then we do allow them that extra time to start development.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to say it's like in the planning world, it's called intensification, which is very good. We're making good use of lots and sites in town. And going from 2 units to 9 is really good, especially for the housing market. So I see it as a circular, not economy, but the way it works, people move from, a farm to a house to a 2-bedroom, depending on, what they're downsizing to. So this is excellent. So I just want to confirm that while it's being constructed, the town will receive the current taxes it's paying right now. Correct?
It should receive the current taxes. However, they would probably apply for a 357 because they've taken down an area or something for renovations. I doubt it, though. I'm sure it's going to stay, right now it's assessed at 162,000. So that will stay the same. But once they start adding on, it could take 18 months from the date they actually get it finalized before we see the actual tax assessment get put back on the books. So when we're doing budgeting, just so you know, we do get the full assessment in there, but we also set up all the TIGs for each individual area, and we put in, if we know that the assessment for that proposed TIG is there, we also put in the amount that we're going to take off there so that it's already budgeted for that when we go to the system, so that you're aware of it. It's not going to be a surprise, so we got to come up with that money. Yeah.
Very good. And just so once completed, once the construction is completed, then the grant payment schedule takes effect.
Once the property is reassessed, then they start to pay their new assessment. And their taxes are paid in full, then we give them the grant for the municipal portion.
So how long does that take? 18 months?
Up to 18 months by the time they get it finalized and gets into MPAC. MPAC then says, now this property, this, for lack of a better, it goes from 160 to 600,000. So the difference between 600,000 and that in taxes is what they would get the grant back on, 100% the first year, then 95, then 90, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to keep track of all that as they come into place. We have a few TIGs in place right now, but nobody's reached that threshold yet where they actually been reassessed with the full amounts on it yet. So it's just
Right.
sitting there.
Okay, that's good. Go ahead, April.
If I could just add one thing as well, the county, Grey County also recognizes the CIPs as tools to spur the type of development we want to see in our communities within Grey County. So upon our approval, then we then trigger this to Grey County as well, and then they approve the county portion of the taxes as well. So we are just looking at the municipal portion right now. But I just would like to support the comments around the table. The TIG is our strongest tool in the CIP toolbox for housing development, and that's the way we're promoting it. So that's great that it's recognized around this table, and hopefully this continues to encourage and incent this type of development.
Very good. Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Worship. You had mentioned that this applicant, that we had worked on a development with them previous. Are we running concurrently the TIG for that particular property, or has that been finalized? And this will be a new one and not running concurrently?
Through your worship, they will run concurrently. That the other project is not, will soon start construction as well. Thanks.
Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Worship. April, just wondering, how do we determine the grant factors for each year? Like looking at, so this one's going down by 5% each year. I think other ones that we've seen have typically gone 100, 80, 60, 40, 20. How is that determined? And is it precedent setting if we're going to go in this increment? I'm thinking like this is a generally smaller scale project where other TIGs we've done have been for hundreds of thousands of dollars. How do we determine the factor?
Through your worship, so those factors are at council's discretion. I think for these smaller scale projects, this is what we're leaning towards, is those 5% grant factors over a year decrease. But I think, as you stated, there was a larger project that had other considerations, and therefore we changed the grant factors accordingly to match that. But this would be your standard unless council would like to see something different.
All right, I don't see any other hands. I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, April. Item 14 is committees of council minutes, and we have one, which is the Emergency Management Program Committee minutes from July the 9th. I need a mover and seconder for that. And I'll take Councillor Sacco and Deputy Mayor Dickert. Thank you. Sherry is going to highlight these.
Thank you, Your Worship. So there's a number of confirmations that this committee has to make on an annual basis to be compliant with our emergency management legislation. And so a number of those occurred at this meeting, including the confirmation of the Community Emergency Management Coordinator, as well as the alternates, the Emergency Response Plan, and then the Emergency Operations Center location. So those confirmations occurred. We are working towards our annual training and mock. The training is scheduled for September 17th and the mock is scheduled for October 1st. And this committee provides input to both of those initiatives accordingly. And then not part of the terms of reference for this committee, but we provided input to Parks and Recreation staff who also happen to be our alternate CEMCs with respect to their proposed emergency SO standard operating guideline with respect to tornado and severe weather, and provided some input. And lo and behold, there was a tornado and severe weather notice or alert that afternoon. So it was ironic that that occurred, but proved to be some further good learning for both myself as well as PRC staff with respect to the input that we had given with respect to that standard operating guideline. I think that's it, unless there's any questions or clarifications that council may have.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Just when you have to speak, Vicky.
Yes.
Item 15 is bylaws, and we have bylaw number 3343-25. And I need a mover and seconder before Vicky gives us the intent. So Councillor Hocking and Councillor Fleet. And so I'll ask the clerk for the intent of the bylaw, please.
Bylaw 3343-25 is a bylaw to authorize the signing of an agreement with 579 9th Ave Limited for a tax increment equivalent grant.
Thank you. So it's been moved by Councillor Hocking, seconded by Councillor Fleet, that bylaw number 3343-25 be introduced and that it be taken as read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and inserted in the bylaw book. Any further discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 16, we do not have any correspondence requiring action. So I will ask if there's any notices of motion at this time. Seeing none, we'll move on to good news and celebrations, and we'll start with Councillor Hocking.
Had a great time out in Victoria for the last 10 days. So I'd just like to promote an initiative that the airport, Saugeen Municipal Airport, is doing in conjunction with the Hanover District Hospital Foundation. We're having a fundraiser promoted by Hanover District Hospital Foundation on the evening of September the 26th, right? So hopefully you buy your ticket. It's a new venture for us, and hopefully it's well attended. And of course, the money goes to a great cause. Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Thank you. Anyone else have some good news and celebrations they want to share? Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship. I hope this isn't too late, but I want to congratulate the Hanover Chamber of Commerce on the occasion of their 70th anniversary of doing business here in Hanover. And special thanks to the Hanover Fire Department for hosting the celebratory event and running the barbecue on August the 14th. And since I'm talking about the Chamber of Commerce, I might as well mention that tomorrow is the 31st Annual Chamber Golf Classic. Wonder if there's anyone at the table that's going to be golfing tomorrow? No? Okay. It looks like Deputy Mayor Dickert, you will be there. Okay, thank you. It looks like the weather's going to be great, so good luck to all the golfers. Thank you.
Very good. Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good news, the Hanover Bentinck and Brant Agricultural Society is getting closer to the new hall opening. And they've booked their first wedding for June of 2026. So very excited about that. And so hopefully we will see an official opening that will come later this year. But it's going to be a fantastic event space. And certainly there's been a lot of time that organization has spent in preparing a great facility that will be used well by our community. So we're looking forward to more updates to come.
That's exciting. Counselor Fleet.
Thank you, Worship. I just want to shout out, congratulate a couple Hanover ball players, actually Connor Page, Alex McGilvery, and Joseph Wellner for winning gold medal in the Canadian Summer Games. They represented Team Ontario, so congratulations to those gentlemen.
Anyone else? Counselor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to comment on the organizers of the Fall Market, which is coming up on Saturday, September the 27th from 10 till 2 in the Heritage Square. They will have probably, I think they're estimating over 40 different vendors with food being provided as well. So a great day. Hopefully the weather will be good. So after you've done your bingo on Friday night at the airport, you can go to the Fall Market on Saturday and just get all kinds of good stuff there.
There's always something to do in Hanover. So, okay, Counselor Sackle.
Well, I don't want it not to be mentioned, so now I'll take my second round. I'd like to remind listeners that the Hanover Parkinson's Walk is happening this Saturday, September the 6th. And for registration and donation details, you can visit the Parkinson's Society Southwestern Ontario website. As well, our annual Hanover Terry Fox Run is scheduled for Sunday, September 14th at 1 p.m. at the Hanover Park Splash Pad this year. Registration opens at 12:30 and participants may walk, run, or ride at their own pace. All proceeds, I believe, are going to cancer research. Thank you.
Glad you mentioned that because I was going to the racetrack for the Terry Fox Run, so that's good. Thanks. Okay. Sorry, I forgot staff.
This is just, I just wanted to follow up on the comment before about 579 9th Avenue. So it was at the Planning Advisory Committee on February 13th, 2024, and they did have a zoning bylaw amendment. So just as clarification.
That's quick. Staff, does staff have anything they want to share that may happen or occur before the next meeting? April?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the successful Saugeen Student Startup Program youth. We just had a wrap-up barbecue. So this year was a record-breaking year. We had 115 applicants. We were only able to accept 51 of those. That started 48 businesses, and 14 of those students were from Hanover. So we had a really great wrap-up event. It was great to see them get the feedback from them from participating in the valuable training opportunities and seeing their products on display. So we look forward to 2026. And I have to also thank all of our community sponsors. We do ask for financial assistance so that we can sponsor these students and provide them startup funding. So we have a great community in Hanover that support this program, and I just want to give them a shout out as well. So thank you.
Very good. Okay, item 19, upcoming meetings, committee meetings. Of course, the dates are all listed on the agenda and on our website for more information. Item 20, important dates and announcements. Our next regular council meeting is Monday, September 15th at 4 p.m. And then we have confirmation of proceedings, that bylaw. So I need a mover and seconder for that one. Counselor Sackle and Counselor Cable. And I'll ask the clerk for the intent of the bylaw, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw 3344-25 is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the September 2nd, 2025 Hanover Council meeting.
Thank you. Moved by Counselor Sackle, seconded by Counselor Cable, that bylaw number 3344-25 be introduced and that it be taken as read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and inserted in the bylaw book. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And one final motion, and that is to adjourn at 5:40. I need a mover and a seconder. Counselor Hocking, Counselor Fleet, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Council.